So after months of planning and strategizing, today is the day that we take our long-awaited family vacation. And we're going to attempt to document some of it with the hopes that you might find some of this content somewhat enjoyable. My name is Ken Rashad, and this is the Rashad Family Vacation. Let's go.
Our European vacation will span 17 days and will include stops in London, Paris, Milan, Venice, and Rome. The first leg of our trip began with a flight out of Dallas-Fort Worth Airport with a connecting flight to Washington Dulles. It was morning, and we were looking forward to getting a little something to eat at the nearby Priority Pass Lounge. What a disappointing way to begin our trip. The missus didn't necessarily agree.
So I'm sitting with a very lovely Mrs. Rashad as we await our flight to Washington, which will be our connection before we get to London. Any comments from you?
No, I'm just waiting for the flights.
Just came from the lounge. Food was horrible. Hopefully food was horrible.
The biscuits were great.
The eggs were horrible.
The eggs are not going to be great anyway, the airport.
It's horrible. Hopefully the food will get better than what it is now. Breakfast was just a disaster. I've had better food at McDonald's.
All right, so we just got off of our first flight from DFW to Washington Dulles, and we're now walking to our next gate to catch our connecting flight to London Heathrow. So far, so good. No delays. The trip so far has been a success. Let's see what happens next.
All right, so we're about to take off from London. The trip has been as scheduled, no delays, which has been the most frustrating thing for me, but so far so good. So let's see what happens over the next 7 hours. We'll do the best that we can to document this, and let's go.
We booked a flight on United Airlines in premium economy. I'll provide the cost of our plane tickets a little later in the video. But for our 7-hour flight to London, this is what the airline provided. A comfortable Saks Fifth Avenue blanket, some noise-canceling headphones, along with an amenity kit that included some goodies, a pair of socks, a sleep mask, some Sunday Riley lip balm, Sunday Riley hand cream, a dental kit, which included a toothbrush and toothpaste, earplugs, and a Sunday Riley product coupon. All right, time for takeoff. Our flight left Washington Dulles at 5:35 p.m. and was scheduled to arrive in London the next morning at 6 o'clock. The flight from Washington was great. The meals during the flight, which included dinner and an early breakfast, were not bad for airline food. And the service was even better. But look, we've made it. London's Heathrow Airport. I hear about it all the time. I read about it all the time. But now we're finally here. You know what? I'm gonna take this time to give myself a pat on the back. Planning this trip was a family project, but let's be real. I did most of the work. It was my forward thinking and hours of research that put us in this unique moment. You see, I figured if we get to London as early as possible, we would have as much of the day as possible to tour the city during our 3-night stay. But there was one problem with that plan.
Okay, so we've arrived in Heathrow. It is about 6:20 in the morning.
We've arrived here. It's early in the morning, and we've run into one minor snag that I didn't necessarily foresee when we made the reservations. Our Airbnb won't be ready until 12. So we've got about 6 hours to kill, and now we're trying to decide what we're going to do in the meantime. I mean, we could take a taxi and take us to our location, but then we'll be stuck out on the street with a bunch of suitcases and stuff. We don't want that. So I'm literally pitching ideas from the family, and no one seems to be willing to throw in any suggestions. They're just leaving it up to dear old dad to come up with a solution. Let's find out what happens next. It is really quiet in here. Is it just me? Is it quiet in here? It is really quiet in here. All right, well, let's see what happens next. So after a 5.5 hour wait in the terminal, we've finally been given the green light to go ahead and move forward to check into our Airbnb. And so now we're at the location to get our Uber, and we're gonna make the about an hour ride to central London, and hopefully check into the room and get some rest. It's been a long day.
Finally, our first opportunity to get out of the airport and take in the local sights of London. We rented a 2-story flat through Verbo in the Covent Garden section of London. Covent Garden is a lively area where you can shop, eat, and enjoy entertainment. While it's famous for its old market, street performers, and architecture, for us it was the perfect area that put us within walking distance of most of the famous attractions London is known for. And because we are all about credit card hacks, points, and travel, we got a $300 travel credit for booking the spot using our Capital One Venture X. This saved us $100 per night for our 3-night stay. For some strange reason, the walkthrough video I did for this flat wasn't saved. But here are photos from the Verbo website that are a perfect representation of how the place was while we stayed there. This was a 3-bedroom, 2.5-bath rental that was perfect for the 4 of us. When we arrived at the flat, we met with our host, Yusuf, who gave us instructions on how to enter and leave the building. The flat was still being cleaned and wasn't quite ready for us to use, but it was okay for us to leave our bags, which allowed us to head out, get a bite to eat, and walk around a bit. But that was it. As soon as the place was ready, we headed back and called it a day. Believe me, we were drained. Feeling refreshed after a good night's sleep from a long day of travel the day before, we were up early the next morning, ready to take in the sights of central London. The first stop, Trafalgar Square. Trafalgar Square is a historic public square known for the iconic monument that is Nelson's Column, and is surrounded by other statues and fountains. The square is a central hub with the National Gallery nearby, ideal for hosting events, protests, and celebrations. But if we're gonna be honest, as nice as Trafalgar Square was, it wasn't exactly on our bucket list of things to see or do while we were in London. But you know what was? Taking pictures by those timeless telephone booths. Our journey continued and eventually led us to the Household Cavalry Museum, a prestigious institution dedicated to preserving and showcasing the history and heritage of the Household Cavalry. The Household Cavalry, a ceremonial unit, serves as the British monarch's official bodyguard and comprises 2 regiments, the Life Guards and the Blues and Royals. These regiments are among the oldest and most senior regiments in the British Army, with a history dating back over 350 years. And then, of course, we saw Big Ben, one of London's most iconic landmarks, which refers not to the famous clock tower, but to the Great Bell. The clock tower, part of the Palace of Westminster, was renamed the Elizabeth Tower in 2012 in honor of Queen Elizabeth II's Diamond Jubilee. However, the name Big Ben is commonly used to refer to the bell and the clock tower. And then there was this pleasant surprise. So we're on our way to Buckingham Palace, and as we walk, we're passing by St. James Park. Ah, there it is. Buckingham Palace. Knock another one off the bucket list. So Buckingham Palace has quite the backstory. It was built in 1703, not as the royal residence, but as a swanky house for the Duke of Buckingham. Fast forward to 1761, when King George III decided it was the perfect spot for his queen, Charlotte, turning it into a royal household for the first time. Now, as the years rolled by, the place got some serious upgrades. King George IV brought in architect John Nash to jazz it up into the grand palace we see today. Then Queen Victoria stepped in 1837, making it the official royal headquarters where all the big fancy events go down. Buckingham Palace is more than just a place where the Queen hangs out. It's a massive complex with 775 rooms, including areas where state dinners and royal receptions happen. It's a piece of living history, showing off Britain's royal heritage and architectural finesse, all wrapped up in one impressive package. And as luck would have it, much to the delight of the lovely Mrs. Rashad, we just so happened to transition from one cherished British institution to another. Burberry. Time to get something to eat.
You should try.
What is that?
Pizza. It's a thing where I can put it.
No, what kind of pizza is that?
She's cheese.
Oh, I ate that pizza.
I did that because I wanted to get it.
I already knew what she was up to. You ain't slick.
One quick note, we used our Chase Sapphire Preferred card to pay for that meal, which allowed us to earn 3x points for dining and the added benefit of having to pay no foreign transaction fees since we were out of the country. Now is also a good time to share what we paid for our plane tickets to get here, as I promised previously in the video. We purchased 4 round-trip tickets in premium economy with a total cash value of $13,000. But because we use points, we were only required to pay $1,600 for taxes and fees, an average of only $400 per ticket. Below the video are links to the credit cards we used to help make our trip possible. The links are affiliate links, and if you click on any of them to apply for a new credit card and get approved, we get a small commission, which in turn supports the channel.
We had a full day in day 2, and went out and did some sightseeing and did some eating and so forth. But here we are, and we decided to make a use of the washing machine that we have. Now this place, the Airbnb that we're staying in, only has a washing machine that doesn't have a dryer. And so what the people here do is they use this contraption, which is a clothesline, and they put their clothes out here like we're doing right now. And they let the clothes air dry, which is what we're doing right now. And I haven't experienced anything like this since I was a little kid, when my clothes would be air dried in the backyard of my grandparents' home in Louisiana. But here we are in 2023, and this concept is still very much in use here in the UK.
On our final day in London, we decided to use public transportation for the first time. On a dreary, overcast day, we took a 15-minute walk down central London's Drury Lane to Temple Station, where we caught the underground train known to the locals as the Tube. We got off the train at Tower Hill Station, and minutes later found ourselves admiring two of London's most popular landmarks, the Tower of London, a historic fortress, and Tower Bridge. We eventually stopped to eat at Byron, a UK restaurant chain that offers a taste of American fare, offering artisanal burgers, sandwiches, tenders, fries, and even shakes. To quote the late celebrity chef Anthony Bourdain, the shit was good. Our sightseeing continued and eventually concluded with a stop at Piccadilly Circus. Our 3-day stay in London had come to an end. We enjoyed exploring the picturesque streets of Chinatown, the vibrant buzz of Piccadilly Circus, and everything we did in between. Every moment, thanks to my forward-thinking, hours of research and detailed planning, had become a page in our family's storybook. Our European vacation is far from over, though. We packed our bags and arrived at the train station the following day to embark upon the next phase of our journey. We are headed for the City of Light, Paris, baby. We'll tell you all about it in the next video. But if you've watched this video to the end, thank you. And if it's not too much to ask, subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We'll see you in the next video.